just do the sound check so everything is in sync, and then we're talking at each other.
Wonderful.
Goodness, right. I make it sound really natural. Somehow. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Halftime Lunch Club podcast. I'm Matt Finch. I'm a creative director at Finch Design Company. I spend my days helping brands shape their creative strategies, which means I get a front row seat to everything that's going on at the moment and sweeping the industry right now. Today, I'm sitting down with the amazing co-host, River Orrey. River, for anyone who...
It's Orrey, actually.
Sorry?
Orrey.
Orrey.
Oh, no.
Sorry, I don't know why I say array. That sounds...
I know people message, I'm like, wow, that's really fancy. No, it's just Orrey.
Orrey.
Yeah.
River, how do I not know that? I mean, yeah, I only ever call you, and it's not as if I've ever...
You're like, hello, River Orrey. It's nice to see you today, River Orrey.
God, that would have been some good banter for this. Maybe I'll try and put that back in. For anyone who does not know, what is your day job?
Hi, ma'am. It's great to be here. I'm a brand and web designer over at River Orrey Design. I work mostly with small independent businesses, and my real focus is bringing a tactile, handmade touch, like actual linocut printing, into my digital design work.
Which is perfect, and you're perfect co-host for this particular episode because we chatted a little bit about this because we weren't sure what we were going to do for the first ever episode. But you messaged me and with a really interesting thought, which was that you're finding that your clients are actively pushing against the AI and actually wanting stuff that is a bit more handmade, while I, on the other hand, on the other side of the fence, probably hearing a lot of horror stories from other designers and creators around their clients really deep diving into AI and probably moving away from that aesthetic point of view. So today we're putting all the tech talk hopefully in the bin, though I'm sure we'll probably touch on it anyway, and leaning into the beauty of analog and human-made design. So River, what can you expand on kind of the voices you're hearing from your clients and kind of what are they wanting at the moment?
So I think what I found is, I mean, when I first kind of going back to when I first started freelancing, kind of done it in drips and drabs over the years. So my first ever kind of independent freelance design I did was a linocut.
Yeah.
So I think people being able to see that that is a possibility, that they can do that with their branding, I think that did help people kind of move over to being able to ask for it. Because I think it's difficult to ask for something when you don't know what to ask for. So, because I think at the moment, digital design is obviously, that's what most people are doing. That's what most people are seeing. And I think, what's the question again?
Are you having conversations where they're actively trying to push against AI, or are you just finding that their aesthetic is leading away from it?
I think honestly, it's quite nice because I don't think AI even came into the conversation. That's more of a trend that I'm kind of noticing because I'm in the industry and I'm aware of all these things happening. Whereas clients often aren't going to be quite as within the industry. They're not going to have that same perspective. So I think a lot of the time it's not that they are specifically wanting to go against AI and more that they want that positive movement towards something handmade, something human, something authentic. I heard authenticity is something that comes up a lot in my conversations, that they want something that really reflects them as a person and shows that there is a human behind this business. And I think that is because I work with mostly small and independent businesses where that is a USP for them. It's a unique selling point that they are a real human person. This is their business. There's usually one, maybe two people a part of it. So I think the human side, this kind of handmade side, and the authenticity is really, really important. to present to the world about their business.
Yeah, that's definitely something I found whenever I've worked with smaller clients is when it's one or two people, the brand is those individuals,
Yeah,
essentially. It's
it's
not this
them.
wider, 10 sites and everyone's living the insert brand name here kind of ethos. A book I read, Homo Deus, and it's kind of the history of mankind. It's the idea that when population groups start to get over a certain size, I think it's over like 100 or more people, like religion or something similar needs to come into play for then society to work and work together, kind of like to have a rule set to kind of all abide to and stuff. I find branding is exactly the same. Like when it's a really small group, it's really easy, it's not a problem. The larger a group gets or company gets, that branding needs more substance and needs a community. If you're still trying to be kind of solo branding with that bigger group, it doesn't communicate as well. And so the conversation needs to change and all of that. Bringing things back to be authentic.
Yes.
How do you stay authentic with your work?
So I think first of all, I like to talk. I like to speak to people. I think that's the kind of first step for me to make sure that my work is authentic. Because really it's got to be authentic to them.
Yeah.
So what I do is make sure I always just have these really open conversations with my clients first, not always face to face because it's kind of difficult to do that these days. So we have a little call.
Yeah.
We chat. I find out about them. I find out about their business, and just have a little chat as well. So just making sure I get to know them. I kind of see how they talk. I see their kind of energy. Because again, with small businesses, like we were saying, it's very much focused on them as a person as well as their business. So I like to really get to know the person, get to know the business, and just keep that open communication throughout the process. It's not just we have, one conversation, one email, and then, I'm gone. I go and do everything and then I'm back and I'm like, here you go. Bye. Like it's a collaborative process. It's iterative. And that's something I really like to do because I think it's good to keep that autonomy for them throughout the process. Because at the end of the day, I'm creating this for them. I'm creating it for their business. And I want them to feel like they have a say on what direction it goes and what the end product looks like. I don't want to be this kind of authoritative voice saying, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. We're going to do this.
Yeah. There can be elements of that, obvious. There's like, you've obviously bringing your experience to
Absolutely.
to the role. But yeah, like you said, it's okay to have disagreements and be like, look, my professional opinion is this, but actually they live and breathe their brand. And it's like, yeah, that might be true, but actually we find this. And the only way you're ever going to find that is if you talk to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just keeping it to kind of, I can advise, I can kind of guide where it goes. But I think allowing clients to feel like they have a voice in the process can be really empowering, especially for small businesses. And I think it means that I found that I explore avenues that maybe I wouldn't have if we hadn't have had that conversation. I would have thought, oh no, I don't think that'll work. But if they are, really set, like I would really, really like this, it's like a little puzzle, it's a challenge. And then I get to push myself to make this vision of their work. It's not always going to work. Sometimes it's going to be like, you know what, in my professional opinion, I think we need to try something else. But a lot of the time we do come out with something really fun and really exciting and really cool, and something that wouldn't have happened without having those conversations, without having that collaboration between, client and designer.
I think it's a really interesting point there in terms of every project, you grow with it. And it's because you have different conversations with different people. You go through different processes almost every time because no two logos, identities are ever going to be the same. and how you get from A to B is always different. I know myself, my process when I'm creating a logo or a brand, I'm really confident upfront after having that conversation. It's like, yes, I have the vision, and I get pen and paper, and I'm suddenly hitting my head against a brick wall. And it takes my process to kind of get to the other end of that. It's reassuring myself, like, no, I can do this, going back to the research. And I think it's something I take from there's a series on Netflix called Abstract. And the first episode is an illustrator, and he says, creation is violent. And I always think about that, and I'm always agreeing with it. So it's like, not one job where I'm creating a new brand identity have I not kind of hit my head against a wall, being like, how can I make this better? How can I push this further than I've done before? How can I make this even more unique to this brand? And like, when is something too much and when is it too little? And I know there's a lot of tech now where, you can feed in loads of images, all your inspiration, you can direct it however you want. You can really be an art director around it. But it's kind of like, what process would I prefer? Would I prefer to be writing prompts, or would I rather be there with my pen and paper, doodling ideas, being on Illustrator, kind of trying to work through stuff and kind of bringing in, hunting around and finding those pieces that I love and kind of going back to the client and kind of pulling in that stuff. Like, that's so much more engaging. It's so much more interesting, and compared to being very isolated as a creative, actually, if you're the only point of kind of art direction. And it's a hot take, I'm not about wanting to prompt all day. Like, what? It just doesn't look like fun. And doesn't look like you would learn.
Well, yeah, because like you're saying, that's kind of where that growth happens, is that really frustrating part where you're trying so many different things, you want to find the balance. And that's how you grow. Like, our brain is a muscle, and you need to push through that frustrating of the process to be able to grow. And you're going to learn so many new things. And if you're just putting a prompt in, you're skipping that part of the process. You're not growing through that.
I'm name dropping a lot in this, but I know there's creators I've always looked up to, and I can't remember the designer's name now. Saying I was about to name drop somebody and I'm not, but it's that thing of, when creating a logo, you always hold on to the one that was rubbish, because you can see where you started and where you ended up. And you can kind of see, I can get to the end of the project and be like, this isn't quite working. But then I find a logo at the beginning of the process. I'm like, you know what? That's perfect. All I need to do is take the learnings from this last logo and apply it. And then I've got a bang on approach. So I'm like, God, I was there at the beginning. Like, and I think that's the thing with prompting and stuff. There's not really a record. There is, but it's not so easy to go back and be like, oh, remember this image? I really like that one, but I just want to make this small tweak. And actually, when you prompt into it, it's completely created something different and new. And it's like, no,
It's just a sort. No, you wanted something new, and it's like, no.
but it's so painful to get to such a simple place. And yeah, I think it's just where it falls down a lot. Like, and I think, those processes that to create the authenticity within yourself, that you feel like what you're giving out there is authentic, not just that your process is authentic or the end result is. Like, what at the end of the day makes you feel kind of that what you deliver into the world is a benefit and not just adding to the pile.
Yeah.
Like, is that something you strive towards when you're creating your work? Just wanting to, just have that pride in what you're putting out there.
Definitely. Yeah, there's a real satisfaction to putting out something that feels new, that feels, a bit unique. Because because it can sometimes feel, you're looking on Pinterest, looking at everyone else's, what they're making, being like, how could I possibly make something different? Everything's been done.
Yeah.
But that's not true, especially like you were saying about these kind of analog design processes. Nothing's going to be quite the same because you are literally making it with your own two hands. In my case, literally carving out something that hasn't been carved out before and won't be carved out again. Even if those differences are infinitesimal, it's always going to be something new. And I think there's something really satisfying about that.
I know as designers, we're not artists, but we still want to evoke an emotional response from people at the end of the day, because it's the brands that give that to us that we connect with the most.
Yeah.
Might be an emotive advert that's I feel really connected to it, or the stories that the purpose of a brand, or the people who work there, or the product, or how it makes me feel that empowers myself, and all of this stuff. It's all about story and the things that are behind it.
Yeah.
And I think the more we can kind of hold on to that, the better. Anyone watching, listening to this, what advice would you give them that would help them hold on to that authenticity?
I think part of it is definitely just trying to block out the noise. Like I was saying, we see so much every day. We're constantly bombarded with information on, what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, and all that kind of thing. And I guess I'm just another piece of that bombardment of information saying you should do this. But I think trying to block that out a little bit and really connect with yourself and your business and figure out what makes you unique and focus on that. You don't want to be the same as everything else. You don't want to, and again, linking to kind of AI, you don't want to just rely on that because a lot of other people are relying on that. A lot of other businesses are relying on that. And slowly but surely, this kind of unique brand voice that's so important all kind of becomes the same. So yeah, it's just really focusing in on yourself and your business.
I guess that's actually the big opportunity and unique selling point, is that when everyone is on the AI train, you can not be on the train and be doing something that's completely different and out of the box, and maybe something very old school as well, but it feels very new and again analog, and something that a lot of people are wanting to be more analog. And actually, you might find that in that respect, you're doing better than those who are using AI. I think there's a great opportunity there to kind of be unique in not following the train.
Because you were kind of talking earlier, we were talking about our kind of processes, just to process, focusing mainly on that kind of little frustration, that growth point. But you're talking about when you put pen to paper. So would you say that's kind of your analog method?
Definitely a design process. And I think we spoke earlier kind of how I'm trying to move towards more analog just within my life and stuff. And actually I was saying the other day to somebody about, people are so used to typing that when they come to write something, the hand cramp is real. And I'm like, oh yeah, that takes me back to high school where you had to write page after page. And I've started to journal now, and it's just such a joy to be back on paper. I love joined up writing. It's something I've always enjoyed doing. I don't do it because no one can read it apart from me. And so I tend to just do capital letters when I'm writing stuff. I actually kind of do journaling. I kind of find that passion. It's just for me. No one else is going to read it, hopefully. Then, but there's something really nice there, something that physical again. And even with writing, I'm not a natural writer. It's something I aspire to.
Yeah.
But it's why I went down to the design route, because I'm not a wordsmith. As a kid, not a lot of people know this, but I seem to have forgotten how to speak. I don't know why. To this day, I don't want to look into it too much as to why the cause of that is, but I had to learn to speak again. I had to really set back. And it was a really uphill journey to kind of read, write, talk, communicate,
Yeah.
and words were never, it was for that reason such a struggle. But when I found art and I could express myself, and I loved comic books growing up, and I would draw the characters all the time. I was so into Harry Potter once that I drew like a snitch, and I had seen from Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire out of multiple pieces of paper and put it up my wall. It was horrendous. I was very proud of it, but there's such a joy in that in terms of I just did something for fun, and that was an accomplishment of it. And it's something that's always just stayed with me. And whilst I'm very design focused and using a notebook to draw logos, draw a website layout, a brochure design, I always start on paper. But kind of going back to the other thing of we type all the time, I've really lost a connection with writing. We used to do it so much in high school. We had to do it. We were demanded to do it. But it's kind of when you think about it, it's like, oh, I really miss that. I kind of miss a written letter as well.
Yes. I used to love to write letters.
You read a book and you really escape into a world. Someone's written that. And I know they've played computer and all of that. But there's real connection there. And I think for me, with everything that is me, whether it's trying to write in my journal, trying to draw a design, I'm just trying to be real about it. It's like, this is my connection to the page. And I do lose something when I go onto Illustrator.
Yeah.
And whilst it's amazing and I can get a great result, it's not the same as having done something and the accomplishment of, you know what, I drew that. That's amazing. I love that. I wish the client could see this. But I've learned they don't want to see it. The majority of the time, they do not want to see your drawings, and they don't know what's going on. And like, that's not the end result. It's like, no, but I would share that with you. But there's some junior design things I've learned. Don't show them the scribbles. But
My clients actually like my scribbles. A few of them specifically recommend, like, please send me the scribbles. And then they send me scribbles back. And it's a nice back and forth of.
I think we have different clients. This is like, I try and show a website design because it's the easiest thing to do. Like with my scribble, doesn't make any sense to them.
See, I remember loving your scribbles, your website design. It was always very satisfying. I don't think they're scribbles. They're very good. I really liked that because I think I hadn't had that before in kind of a workplace where it would start on paper, and I think I have really taken that with me. So yeah, I just think it's great, and it's so fast. You can just kind of get it all down.
Yeah, I think that's it as well. It's kind of, we think with AI we're going to optimize and speed up, but actually so much of the time, just having a pen and paper, I can get ideas down faster.
Yeah.
I'm not having to find a template online that matches what's in my head, or I have to start from scratch of like building out a layout on Framer or whatever.
So I think there's such a pressure as soon as, you kind of get onto the computer of, it's got to be perfect now. It's got to be good straight away because I'm doing it, on this program.
Yeah.
Whereas it kind of takes that pressure away just having it on paper. It's not supposed to be good. It's not supposed to be perfect. This is never going to be the finished product because, say, you're designing a website. No one's scrolling on a notebook on a website.
Exactly. And actually, it's so interesting just how much I can quickly work out about 10 different layouts in 5 minutes compared to online where it'd take me an hour to kind of get all. And actually, I'd get hung up on the process of, it's not mobile responsive. It's not all of this. Whereas actually, I just want to look at the flow. Like, does this work with the information that I've been given from a client and stuff? And I think it's just trusting yourself as well. Yeah, I think that's authentic as well. And I could ask AI, how should I lay out this page? How should I lay out the hierarchy of it all? But it just doesn't know. And it's just like, it's just remove something from that process. And I guess, I don't know.
Babies really didn't like us talking.
No, it didn't. hopefully no one heard that, but there was a lot of babies crying. I think we upset them with our hot take. Yeah, I think it's time for a lunch break. After all, it is the halftime lunch club, and it wouldn't be a halftime lunch club without a lunch break. And if you haven't noticed, today's episode we are filming in Yarm with all its lovely music and people, which you hopefully will hear. But what we're gonna do, order some food, and then we're gonna have a little bit more of a chat, and then kind of summarize everything we've kind of come up to. What are the highlights of this conversation? Where do we think we should go? And we'll see you after the break.
Yeah. I'm starving. Let's go.
We've covered a lot of stuff today. But after everything we've spoken about, what we're saying is we need to take a step back off our computers, off our socials, just reduce the noise.
Yeah.
Just give us that space to then be individual.
Yeah. I think just really finding that balance, combining the analog and the tech and finding our own process out of it.
Yeah. I think that's spot on. Like so much is making that human connection, which is as a business, any business starts for a reason, and it's normally to help or support somebody. It's to kind of get real benefit to their customer. And if we're spending all our time online and stuff like that, we're not speaking to those individuals, and we're then not portraying ourselves in a really ideal light. That's the end of our lunch break for today. And thanks for hanging out with us on episode 1, Halftime Lunch Club podcast. We hope this chat has given you some fresh perspective on why keeping that real human touch in especially our work, matters so much more than ever.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is just so easy to get caught up in the tech. I think just kind of stepping back, embracing the more imperfect analog way of doing things is exactly what people want to see.
Spot on. But if you enjoyed this chat and want to carry on the conversation in real life, please check out the notes, the show notes to grab a ticket for our next halftime lunch club here in Norwich. It's an opportunity to step away from your computer, grab some great food, and talk about the stuff that actually matters. So if you enjoyed this podcast, please give us a like and a follow, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.